You are not failing because you lack talent. You are not stuck because life dealt you a bad hand. You are blocked. And there are exactly 5 things doing the blocking, 5 forces working inside you, right now, today, that are making sure you never reach the person you already know you could be. A Shaolin monk named Shi Heng Yi stood on a TEDx stage and named them out loud. And if you listen carefully, you will recognize every single one of them in yourself. These 5 hindrances come from a tradition over 2,500 years old, not philosophy written in books, but forged in monasteries, in silence, in decades of physical and mental training. Shi Heng Yi didn't discover them. He inherited them, and he passes them to you now not as a history lesson, but as a diagnosis. Because the reason most people never really master themselves, is not lack of information. You have more information than any human being in the history of this planet. You have courses, books, podcasts, mentors available on demand, and you are still stuck. That is not an information problem. That is a hindrance problem. The first hindrance is desire. Not the healthy kind, not ambition, not purpose. The craving kind. The scroll, the snack, the distraction you reach for the moment discomfort arrives. Your brain is brilliant at this. The moment genuine effort is required, the moment the task gets hard, the silence gets uncomfortable, the conversation demands something real from you. Something in you reaches for comfort, for stimulation, for anything except what the moment is actually asking. Marcus Aurelius wrote it plainly in his private journal, written for no audience but himself. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. He was fighting the same reaching, and he was emperor. He had access to every pleasure Rome could offer, and he still had to remind himself, daily, not to reach. What chance do you think you have if you never notice when you're doing it? Here is what Shi Heng Yi said that most people miss when they hear this teaching. He didn't say to destroy your desires. He said to see them clearly. That distinction changes everything. You are not broken for wanting. You are only blocked when the wanting controls the direction of your attention without your awareness. That is the difference between a master and everyone else. Not the absence of desire, the presence of sight. The second hindrance will be harder to hear. Ill will, resentment, the person you haven't forgiven, the situation you replay, the bitterness you carry like it's a weapon when it is actually a weight. You know this already. Everyone knows this. And yet, the grudge stays. Because letting go feels like losing. Like you're saying what they did was acceptable. Like you're handing them something they don't deserve. You're not. Epictetus was a slave, literally owned by another human being, beaten, degraded, and he wrote the most precise philosophy of inner freedom ever recorded. Not because the injustice wasn't real. It was. But because he understood something the resenting mind never grasps. You cannot master yourself while someone else is renting space in your head. Every moment of resentment is a moment where your attention, your most finite and irreplaceable resource, is being controlled by someone who isn't even in the room. The third hindrance is the one you will recognize in your body. Sloth, torpor, the comfortable fog, not laziness. Laziness is actually honest. Lazy people know they're avoiding. Torpor is different. Torpor is the state where you are busy but producing nothing, active but not advancing. You watch the video, you read the thread, you reorganize the task list instead of doing the task. You are moving. You are not climbing. The fog is comfortable because it creates the feeling of effort without the cost of effort. And the cost is this. Every day you spend in the fog, the version of you that you're capable of, the sharper, harder, more honest version, drifts further away. Not dramatically, not all at once, just a little further. Every single day. Now here is where Shi Heng Yi's teaching cuts deepest, and where almost nobody takes it seriously. These 5 hindrances are not problems to solve once. They are conditions that return. You clear the craving, it comes back. You dissolve the resentment. It resurfaces wearing a different face. You climb out of the fog. Life manufactures new fog. And this is exactly where Imam Ali, writing 14 centuries ago, said something that still lands like iron. The intellect is a sharper weapon than iron. Not willpower, not emotion, not discipline alone. Akal, the watching mind. The mind that sees itself in motion and does not flinch from what it sees. Because the only lasting answer to forces that keep returning is not a one-time victory. It is the cultivation of a mind that sees them coming before they arrive. The fourth hindrance passes as ambition in the modern world, which is why it's so dangerous. Restlessness, the inability to be where you are. You are reading, but you are thinking about the message you should send. You are in the conversation, but you are already planning the next one. You are present in body and absent everywhere that matters. The Stoics called this being dragged by externals. Your attention is a wild horse, and you have handed away the reins so many times you no longer feel their absence. Shi Heng Yi trains this through stillness. Literal, physical stillness. Not as spiritual performance, as a diagnostic. Because the moment you stop moving, you discover how loudly the restless mind screams. And what it screams at you reveals everything you've been using motion to avoid. The fifth hindrance is the quietest, and by far the most lethal. Doubt. Not the productive kind. Not questioning your assumptions or stress testing your beliefs. Paralyzing doubt. The voice that says, what if this doesn't work? What if you're not actually capable of this? What if starting is just another form of failing, only slower? That voice is not wisdom. That voice is the fifth hindrance wearing the mask of rationality. And it has kept more capable people from climbing than every external obstacle in their lives combined. The damage it does is invisible, because nothing ever visibly fails. You simply never begin. In a moment, I'll give you the exact practice Shi Heng Yi prescribes, and it is simpler than you expect and harder than you want. But first, understand what you are actually dealing with here. These five hindrances, desire, ill will, sloth, restlessness, doubt, they are not character flaws. They are not evidence that something is wrong with you specifically. They are the default operating state of the human mind running without supervision. Every person you admire is running the same software. They have just learned to watch it. The practice is this. Sit. 5 minutes. No phone. No task. No goal except observation. Watch what arises. You will feel the reaching. That is the first hindrance showing itself. You will feel the flicker of someone who wronged you. The second, the urge to get up, produce, do something useful. The third, the pull toward whatever is next. The fourth, and the quiet whisper that this entire exercise is pointless. The fifth. You do not fight any of them. You name them. The Stoic principle is exact here. You cannot govern what you cannot see. Marcus Aurelius did not overcome his desires by suppressing them into silence. He named them. He held them up to the light until they lost their authority over his attention. This is not passive. This is perhaps the most demanding thing you will do. To sit with an uncomfortable mind and refuse to let it move you. Here is the truth the self-improvement industry will never say out loud. Most people will hear these 5 hindrances, recognize every single one in themselves, and do nothing. They will finish this video feeling informed, feeling understood, and then immediately reach for the next piece of content. That reaching is the first hindrance proving its own point. The only difference between the person who masters themselves and the person who spends their whole life intending to is not intelligence, not talent, not opportunity. It is whether they are willing to sit with what they are actually like, right now, today, and refuse to look away. If what arises during that silence touches something deeper than philosophy, grief, anxiety, or pain that does not respond to stillness alone, please speak with a professional. That is not weakness. That too is akal. Shi Heng Yi said, if you want to know where you are going, you need to know where you are standing. You now know where you are standing. 5 hindrances, all 5, running inside you right now. The question is no longer whether you can see them. You can. The question is whether you will. If this reframed something for you, subscribe. This channel exists for the people who are willing to keep looking. And tell me in the comments, which of the 5 hindrances cost you the most, and which one surprised you most to find in yourself?